Here are the building blocks for how to produce the fry vocal scream. Like I said in the previous video, first we need to access the fry vocal register. I'll bring you through my own routine here. I'm going to start melodically just around where my speaking voice is, somewhere nice and comfortable. And I'm going to move down using the syllable ah, going from 5 to 1, or sol to do, depending on how you think of this. What I'm doing with my hands is I'm checking for muscle tension. Like I mentioned previously, you want to make sure you're stretching out before you vocalize. Just in general, before you do anything, this is always beneficial, but specifically for the fry vocal scream, you want to make sure that these muscles aren't getting in the way of what we're trying to activate here. And I'll continue down without any sort of interruption. And if I allow it to, something very interesting is going to start to happen. And I'll keep moving down. Ma, for a few steps. Ma, to see how low I can get this. Ma, ma, ma. To really feel my ability to relax into this sound. Now from here, an important key thing to do is to figure out and learn and become familiar with unlocking resonance. We go over this a lot with our melodic aspect of the voice, but it's important to really not just create sound, but feel it. And feel it in various places. Now, over time, you will become more aware of your own natural resonance and the way your body vibrates along with the sound that you're making if you allow it to. This isn't something that can be forced. There isn't a real shortcut to get to this point. You just need to relax your way into sound, and over time, you're going to notice more and more parts of your body can feel what it is you're doing. One of the easier and first ways to start to feel this type of resonance is through this kind of almost annoying kid on the playground type exercise. Nya, 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 nya. That really awful, annoying overtone is coming from the fact that I'm unlocking all of the resonance of my actual head, my face, all the sinuses, everything up here, and I'm allowing the sound to vibrate in that area. Yeah. If I don't make the face, versus if I cut that area off, you can hear it's a much different tone. I'm going to cover my nose here real quick, and you're going to hear that difference even more significantly. Yeah, 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 yeah. Versus, yeah, 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 yeah. If it's used to being cut off and this area is totally blocked, it's going to sound like nothing wrong is happening. It's going to sound like my voice is unaltered, like when it's uncovered, versus being able to unlock this whole region will enable you to feel resonance. That vibrating feeling you'll get in the skull, either in the nose, in the cheekbones, right between the eyes, that is upper resonance. And that's very crucial for the fry vocal scream and just any sort of vocal in general. Now, once you've become comfortable with resonance and these first little building blocks of resonance, what we want to work on is what I call melodic stability. It's taking it a step beyond just understanding melody and just doing a couple of warm-ups melodically. You need to develop your ability to sustain pitch and move at will and move with accuracy as well. From being able to sustain to being able to move with ease, being able to have accuracy, regardless of the approach. Now, this takes time, and at first, when you start to make the fry vocal scream, if you don't have total control over the melodic aspect of your voice, that's fine. Nobody is in just total control all the time. This is more so a goal to always be working towards, because having more melodic stability will enable you to be able to make this sound with even more ease and have more flexibility within the sound, instead of needing to muscle your way one way or squeeze into another. Because the fry vocal scream is all vocal cord based, that means it's all pitch. That means it's all about your melodic control. For this reason, you do need to be careful as well, but this is why that's so important. Now from here, I'm going to essentially choose different areas of my voice and pitch shift myself into the fry vocal register from anywhere, so not just going down anymore. For instance, on the way down, that will just happen on its own. Now I'm going to try and shift to it from different places. Hear how the pitch is still there? The way I think of this is it's kind of like I'm sitting down into the sound. I'll call these sit downs. Now, I'm going to continue to do so, and I'm going to move up in my range. You can hear the vocal getting higher and higher, but you can also hear the fact that I'm allowing the sound to resonate and I'm sending it outwards. The sound isn't disappearing, it's just changing. And I'm not suddenly reducing airflow either. I'm just shifting in the fry register, using that same feeling that I got familiar with because of accessing my fry vocal register earlier. Now, after a handful of these pitch shift sit downs, I'll feel pretty comfortable with being able to do that essentially from anywhere. I can even project a little more. And you can hear the sound starting to develop. It's starting to turn into something. However, it's not the scream yet. Now I'm going to change directions. In my head, instead of thinking of it as a sit down, now I'm essentially going to get up into the sound. That's the only difference. Instead of easing back, I'm just going to stand into the sound. Instead of this, I'll turn it around. Now it's become something. Let's change the note around. Hear how I can change the starting point and that then affects the end result? And that's without any additional shaping or anything. That's just the core sound. You can change the pitch, therefore you can change the vocal. This is the start of the fry scream itself. When you add more intensity and projection and direction to the sound, ma turns into and now you have what the more modern fry scream is. After this step, now you can start to mess around with shape and different mouth and tongue variations to create a multitude of sounds. Depending on what you're going for, you can go up with the sound by creating a more upwards facing shape, or the exact opposite for the inverse effect. You can hear how much the sound is dependent on your shape. So it's important to have flexibility so it can free up the kind of real estate up here that it's going to take to have true control over this type of sound. Now, it's important to not fly off the handle with this sort of thing. We don't want to get too carried away and push this too far. Like I said, this is a purely vocal cord-based technique, so it's more so about how we're going to balance our way through the sound. Don't be someone that tries to push this sound beyond what it's capable of and beyond what it's meant to do. That's what this guy's for. That's what the microphone is for. That's what's going to capture the sound and send it through. And as long as things are mixed and created appropriately, your sound will make sense with whatever it is you're doing. If you can keep it nice and natural, it's not like it's just going to suddenly disappear either. It doesn't have to be the very taboo whisper scream that's talked about either. It doesn't have to be very tight and very, like I said, whispery. As long as you keep loose, you can get flexibility, tone, and intensity through balance. Just like with any other new type of vocal, my recommendation is to try and take a crack at this at least once a day, every day, because the best way to train the body to do something new is through repetition, and the consistency of your practice is really going to determine how quickly you're going to be able to pick this style up. Now, like I mentioned, if getting into the fried vocal register at all is difficult for you at first, spend some time with that. Don't be afraid to follow the order of operations here. Work on those building blocks, like I said. So get the fried vocal register situated, work a bit on your melodic stability, then pitch shift into the sitting down motion of ma, 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 shifting around that fry vocal register, and then ma, sending that outward instead of down. Ma, 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 and then meow, balancing your way and shaping it into different directions. And then you'll have something you can play with. As always, if you experience any major irritation or pain or interruption of the voice, put it down for the day. Clearly something's gone wrong. Revisit it another time. Give yourself a day to rest. Try again. And the more you practice this, the quicker your body will understand that this is something that's okay to do. And everything will start to work with you instead of against you. So practice makes progress. Put in the time, and this will all come together with time.